What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down what a college coach wants in a wide receiver. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope we can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want a day-to-day training schedule with everything you should be doing in the gym and on the field to improve your skills, check out that very first link in the description below for our ultimate 8-week wide receiver workout plan. What you'll get access to is an 8-week daily gym and on-field workout schedule. We have over 500 plus drills and gym lifts for you guys to do with sets, reps, and examples of each one, all broken down for you in a daily schedule. So check out that very first link below if you're interested. Let's get started, fellas. So now, first things first, going to be talking about when it comes to a college coach, what they're looking for in a wide receiver at the end of the day, and we're going to be talking about what this exactly means as a playmaker. They want a guy who's going to be able to make explosive plays. And explosive plays don't always necessarily mean touchdowns, right? But you look at these five-star guys. You look at these guys who are going to play Division I Power 5 football. They all have something in common on their highlight tape, and that is that they have these types of plays where they can take a slant, they can take a hitch, they take it 80 yards for a touchdown, and they're just an explosive player. That's the guy that a college coach is going to want. Now, if you're maybe not that guy who's insanely explosive, who has these type of plays. Maybe you're not in an offense that has these type of plays. Is it for you? Are you not going to be able to play college football? No. You have to do these other things that make up for maybe a lack of speed, explosion, size, the eye test, but you have to include explosive plays on your film. You have to be a playmaker. So now, what qualifies as that? Number one, what I want to talk about, because not enough people talk about this, is blocking. So if you're a wide receiver and you cannot block, that is 50% of your game out the window, right? If you can just run routes and you don't block and you're not an asset in the run game, you are not going to be successful. So what are some of the mechanics that go into blocking? How can you be a good blocker, stock blocker, blocking in RPOs, whatever it might be? And this is a great example of this. So this is Chase Claypool here. Now, obviously, he's a bigger guy, but this is a great example of correct blocking mechanics. Because it's very easy to say, oh, he's just big, that's why he can do it. But you have to kind of think about three specific things when you're blocking. You have to, number one, be under control. So many times wide receivers, they get over anxious. They're trying to make the explosive play. They'll run up to a DB way out of control. All he has to do is make one cut and bam, he's around you. So you have to make sure you come at him under control and you're in a good balanced pad level position. Okay, so under control, good pad level position. Because again, if you go to a college, like let's say a Power 5 team is 60-40 run pass. So they run the ball 60% of the time, 40% they pass. If you can't block, that's 60% of their offense you cannot do, and you're not showing them on your film, so they're probably not going to recruit you. And your blocking plays shouldn't necessarily be like the first play, but if you can showcase that within the first minute to 2 minutes of your highlight tape, a college coach will say, wow, that guy can block. He's an effort guy, right? So number one, have to be under control. Number two, you got to keep a good wide base. So many times what wide receivers will do is they'll come up to a guy and their feet will be super close together. They'll be standing straight up tall. All that wide receiver has, all that DB has to do is just swat your hands and get around you. You have no balance. So make sure that your base is wide. And then last but not least, you see it here from Chase Claypool. He is keeping his feet driving. Fellas, if you want to improve your blocking, go talk to the offensive line coach at your school. Like literally, he will love to help you out and love to explain it to you. Just pick his brain. Be like, hey, but what do you think I can? Don't ask the receiver coach because chances are he probably doesn't know how to block. Ask the offensive line coach. Be like, hey, what can I do to improve my run blocking? And he will tell you, and he will give you real advice from a guy who actually blocks for a living or coaches blocking for a living. So make sure we make ourselves an asset in the run game, fellas, to stand out to a college coach. Now, next on this list to stand out to a college coach is obviously going to be route running. So if you're a guy who's maybe not the fastest, maybe not the most explosive, but you know how to get open, you can be an asset on that team. Especially nowadays, like I did an interview a little while back and somebody was asking me about, oh, well, what do you think? Why do you think wide receivers are getting paid so much in the NFL? And like they were talking about Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, all these contracts. And I think the reason is because offenses are starting to change. It's starting to turn into that air raid kind of one-on-one matchup. We're going to go empty and we're going to put guys in one-on-one matchups and our best guy is going to win every single time and we're going to get him the ball. So route running is starting to become one of those things that a college coach might look for, especially in the NFL. That's what they look for. So let's take a look here. And this is a great example of what a college coach might look for. So you have to understand the three phases of every single route to be a good route runner. So what phase one is, that if you're familiar with this channel, you know what I'm about to say right now. Phase one is selling. You have to be able to sell the route. So if you're running just a straight up comeback route, you're running a whip route like this, you have to be a salesman. So on a comeback, I have to sell fade. On a whip route, what do you think we have to sell? We have to sell the slant. So we were trying to get this DB to think that we were running a slant and we could crash down. So on routes, to sell, you need to make sure that we are running hard, we are running in full stride, and we have good pad level. Speed, stride, and pad level. That will get any DB to commit. So when we can do that, that's what a college coach is looking for. Does this guy run good routes, or does he run up into a route, take very choppy movements? He looks very stiff. You see guys all the time. They're very fast, but when it comes to running routes and it comes to changing direction, they are so stiff. Their hips can hardly move, and they run choppy routes. They take choppy steps. That doesn't do anything for you. A disciplined DB who's going to be just as fast as you at the next level will be able to sit on that. So make sure we are running in stride, speed with good pad level. Now, second phase of the route that you have to master is this change of direction. College coaches are going to want to see guys, how you can stand out to them, be that guy that they want to recruit. Do you have explosion in and out of your routes? Can you cut on a dime? Because there are plenty of kids around the country that can do that, or that they're relying to be able to teach on. So if you already checked that box, you're good in their eyes in terms of this. So when you drop into a break, everything has to be violent. Because when you're selling a route, that first phase, you're obviously running fast, right? So if you were running fast in this whip route and he didn't drop his hips violently, bring his chin to his knee, get to this low explosive position, he's either going to get stuck at the break, drift way off of the break, or flat out hurt himself because you can't run full speed and cut without a little bit of a knee bend or a change in your pad level, like a change in level, if you will, aka dropping your hips. So being able to drop explosively like this creates a ton of energy with your hips, with your feet, to lead you into phase 3. You have to create energy. It's not about stopping, it's about creating energy. Lincoln Riley talks about this all the time. You see it in some of these videos. His routes that he runs with his guys, he says that he never has them like break down because he doesn't want them losing energy out of the route. Now, if you're in an offense where you need to break down, we have to create energy. I want to be violent with my hips, get low so I create energy, which leads me to the third phase, the smoothness out of the break, the acceleration, as I like to call it. So if you can sell your routes, you can cut on a dime, and you can accelerate out of your break point, especially with the way offenses are now. That is going to get you a lot of separation, turn some heads, and catch the eye of a college coach. Or maybe you're a younger guy and you're trying to impress a high school coach. These are all ways that will apply. It's just how to impress a coach, how to stand out amongst the crowd. Because as you guys know, wide receiver is a crowded position. You go to a team, it's like, let's say it's August, and guys are trying out, play for their team. You're going to go to practice. You're going to immediately know what group is the wide receiver group because there's probably going to be 30 to 40 kids in that group. Everybody's a wide receiver. Everybody thinks it's a lot easier than it is. But trust me, fellas, to stand out amongst the crowd, these are the things that you want to do. So now, when it comes down to route running, obviously a lot of people can run good routes. A lot of people can move very well. But what they don't have, what a lot of people don't have, is the IQ. They don't know how to actually apply these things in real game situations. So listen, I could sit here and give you all the drills, everything that you could think of to do, to be a great wide receiver. But if I don't tell you when to actually apply it, when to use it on the field, there's no point in doing it, fellas. You have to know when to do this stuff rather than just how to do this stuff. I could teach you how to run a whip route for hours, and you might get it down. But if you don't know how to structure the whip route, you don't know how to run it against a live defender, it's all for naught. There's no point. You need to have both. So having a high football knowledge, a high football IQ is something that a college coach will look for. So let's watch this clip here from Evan Stewart. He's running a fade route, right? So he's playing at Texas A&M, 5-star guy. He takes an inside release on a fade. This is, to a lot of receiver coaches, something you should never do. Oh, it's a fade route. You got to always go outside. There is something called an MOR, which is a mandatory outside release, or I call it a must outside release. It means the exact same thing. So that's when you would have to go outside. You must take an outside release. But if you don't have that, and let's say it's just like a regular 4 verts call, and you get a DB, you have to understand why he is playing you a certain way to set up your route. We get tons of questions about, hey, coach, if I'm running a post route, should I do this release? And my first question is always, what's the DB's leverage? How is he lined up? How is he playing you? Because that can tell you a lot, and that can tell you how to run your route. That's what comes down to that football IQ like we were talking about. So we come off the ball here. DB's like head up, right? Okay, so that means a couple different things. It's probably man coverage because you see where his eyes are. His eyes are on us. That's number one. He's in a squatted stance. Okay, it definitely looks like man, but he's head up. So I don't know if he's trying to take away the inside leverage. I don't know if he's trying to take away the outside release, right? So by inside leverage, I mean he's like shaded to the inside. By outside leverage, vice versa. So he's head up. So when he's head up like this, my main goal is, all right, I got to close the space. I got to gather some info. I got to try to make him uncomfortable. Anytime that he's given us some cushion, like 2 yards, we have to close the cushion and eat it up. So now what Stewart does here is he closes the cushion, but he sees that this DB starts to jump to the outside. So he puts the brakes on. He just throws a crossover and takes the inside release. He takes what the DB gives him to set up the route. He doesn't force it. He knows that when a DB shades to the outside, he's trying to protect the outside. He's trying to not let us run the fade, not let us run the comeback. So the only option I have is to take the inside release. I don't want to force it, because if I force it, he will get hands, squeeze me to that sideline. Let's close the distance. Okay, he shades to the outside. I react. I take the inside release. I'm fine. I just have to work to restack. Could he have restacked a little bit better here? Yes. Ball was underthrown only because the quarterback was getting pressure. But fellas, it showcases the football IQ that he has. He doesn't force the release. He doesn't rely on his speed. He doesn't rely on his size. That's why so many highly recruited guys out of high school get in trouble. Because in high school, you're playing up against a scrub DB. You could just, even if he has outside shade, you could just run around him. But in college, what impresses a college coach is you knowing how to structure the route against a DB who's more talented. Just because I heard somebody say this the other day, like, just because you took candy from a baby doesn't mean you could take candy from an adult, because it's not the same thing. It's going to be much harder. So that's how you have to treat it. You have to know how to run routes, how to react off of DBs, and how to read their leverage. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. I know that's a lot of talking, fellas, but you have to know how to structure these routes. Now, one last thing that a college coach is going to look for is they're going to look for that guy who can make the tough catch. So we're looking at this clip here from Marvin Harrison Jr. So this is a ball that was thrown to him over the middle. He does this little crossover move in the back of the end zone. The quarterback throws this thing. It's like kind of a higher pass over a defender. He's in traffic, and he's able to jump and make this catch and still keep his feet in bounds. Fellas, this is what also they are looking for on film. They are looking for guys who can make the tough catches, not the routine catches. If on your highlight tape right now, let's say you're a high school wide receiver, JUCO wide receiver, you shouldn't have plays of you making the plays we expect you to make. You run a 12-yard in and there's nobody around you and you catch the ball and fall down. That's not a highlight. Like that's just you doing something we expect you to do. I expect you to make that catch. So make sure, fellas, that we can include plays where I'm making the tough catches. Jump balls, diving catches, catches in traffic, catches while you're taking a hit. All those things will stand out to a college coach, just like that example. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys, as usual. And again, fellas, if you'd like a 8-week wide receiver on-field and gym workout schedule, everything that you need to do as a wide receiver to work out, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.